Hello and welcome to our 5th IPL video and our 4th IPL fixture roundup in a week that saw 3 super overs in a day and some absolutely shocking batting performances by the CSK and KKR world titles. Firstly, we've got Super Sunday, or should I call it Super Over Sunday. Sunday was full of super overs and it was truly a fascinating game. Now, should we look at the first Super Over, which was Sunrisers and KKR?
Yep, we can have a look at that.
You might want to go to the match report, no, centre, match centre.
Match centre, there we are.
Yeah. This is better.
Scorecard here.
Right, okay, let's just run through quickly the KKR batting performance. Lots of people getting starts, but nobody substantially making a 50. Is that something KKR really needs to improve on, making people get in and go big?
I mean, they seem to be doing quite well without needing to do that. They're taking wickets, they're getting good runs, and they're winning matches. You know? At the moment, they're in a really strong position to qualify.
Yeah, well said. Yeah, well said. Do you want to look at the bowling for SRH, I think?
Let's the bowling, yeah. Bowling, here we go.
I think Sandeep Sharma bowled well. Basil Tampi, slightly expensive, but he picked up a wicket. Natarajan again, 2 wickets. Good bowler. Vijay Shankar, extremely economical. And Rashid Khan, they played him out. So, pretty box standard bowling performance. What do you say?
I think you're right. I mean, taking 2 wickets for Natarajan is really good. I mean, he is a very good bowler. I think we've come to expect that from him.
Yeah, his Yorkers are what separated him from the past. I think he's bowled like more than double the Yorkers of Dwayne Bravo. So listen, he's a quality bowler in the death.
Let's have a look at some batting by SRH.
Yeah, Kane Williamson opened with Johnny Bairstow because Kane Williamson had a hamstring injury, so they were like, make hay while the sun shine and play. And he played well. Kane Williamson played well. Same with Johnny Bairstow. Priyam Garg failing to impress this time. But, you know, SRH got a good crop of young players. But then let's move on to the story. David Warner coming in at 4 and guiding his team home to a super over. What would you say again?
I think you're right. Coming in being the 4th batsman and staying right way through to the end of the innings and salvaging a super over for your side is pretty unbelievable. I mean,
yeah, for the position they were in, yeah.
I mean, also looking at Priyam Garg, that is not in 4 runs after 7 balls. For a third in the order batsman, that's just not good enough.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah. Fair enough. Now, KKR's bowling, Pat Cummins did well, with Varun Chakravarti did well. Lockie Ferguson, the main standout though, I think he was brilliant on his IPL debut, I think. Yeah, brilliant.
I'd agree. I think you said that perfectly, but I think the main story of the match was in the 2 super overs. So let's start by taking a look.
It's what pace does. Pace does that to you. You just went boom, boom, pace.
SRH's super over then. They managed to get through 3 batsmen in the super over. David Warner, Johnny Bairstow and Abdul Samad all batting, facing Lockie Ferguson.
Pretty sad scorecard.
It really is. David Warner facing 1 ball and getting out. Johnny Bairstow then coming in, but not actually facing any balls. Abdul Samad getting the only 2 runs for the super over off of his 2 balls.
It's not good for a super over. You want to at least try and get at least 10 in a super over. 10 is the minimum.
Oh yeah, getting 2 and getting someone out on their first ball is a little bit sad.
Yeah. And now I think that's it for this game. We're going to move on to...
Oh, whoa, hang on. We haven't even looked at the other half of the super over, let alone the second one.
Oh yeah, fair enough. Pretty boring super over. 1 run in 2 bills. Two extras is good enough.
Yeah.
When you're chasing 3, it was leg buys, okay, leg buys, don't worry.
With the KKR super over, they faced Thrupped Khan. They didn't get they didn't lose any wickets. I mean, you'd hope so. But they got 3 runs in a super over.
It's just a bit dead.
It really is. I mean, that's for the second super over. So, yeah. I think it was just hugely underwhelming.
Now we're on match 36.
Also being won on a super over, but starting with
a double super over. Double super over.
I'll be honest, just to say, while we just move up here, I'm ridiculously happy by this. This makes me very happy.
What, 5 for 1 and 5 for 2?
No, the Kings 11 beating LI.
Oh. Anyway, right, let's just go. Mumbai's batting innings was good. I think Quentin de Kock played well, and I think cameos from Pollard and Krunal Pandya and Nathan Coulter helped them to a substantial score, with Glenn Maxwell bowling economically, Mohammad Shami in the wickets, as well as Arshdeep Singh, Chris Jordan getting 1, and then just a bit box standard everywhere else. I think Bishnoi bowled well, 1 for 12. What do you think about Bishnoi? He's been a real find for Punjab, and don't you think he can represent India?
That's a hard one. He has had a decent season, but I think he's going to have to do a bit more before he gets into the India lineup.
Yeah, in the near future, obviously.
Absolutely, he's definitely got the potential to do that, but I think he's just got a lot of competition and he needs to prove that within the next few years of IPL.
Yeah, fair enough. Now, Punjab's batting innings. KL Rahul, 77. Agarwal, 11. Gale, 24. Pooran, 24. And Deepak Hooda taking them to a super over. And now, just before we talk about the super over, I don't know whether you saw this, Aaron, but Chris Jordan, the way he ran the final ball was very peculiar, because he took a big loop. I think they could have won it without the drama, had it not been for his idiotic running style.
Actually, but I think his running style and the opportunities he takes and the way in which he takes them definitely has got them into some good situations. I mean, in that situation, you probably could have done it without it, but it definitely has its pros. I mean, it's proven in the fact that he's a decently successful batsman. I think it's a little unfair to say that it doesn't have any upside.
No, what I was saying is in the match, he instead of running straight, he took a loop around. Instead of running straight, he made it instead of running in 2 straight lines, he made one of them straight and the other one round to make it like a semicircle.
Well, he didn't. I know. He didn't need to do that, but I mean, I don't know why he did. To be fair, he probably could have got away without doing that. Definitely. But I think that sometimes that does have its upsides.
Yeah, more momentum. I can see that. Anyway, I think bowling wise, I think Krunal Pandya bowled well. Same with Bumrah amongst the wickets, and then Rahul Chahar bowled well.
Again, yeah, I think Bumrah's done very well to get 3 wickets in 4 overs. And he played 1 and he bowled the same amount of balls. So, and he conceded more runs. Justin Bumrah, very good bowler, one of the best in the IPL. Is that controversial?
No. Anybody that argues with it is sane.
Yeah. I think that makes absolute sense. I mean, I wish he didn't play for MI, I'll be honest, but handed to him is a ridiculous.
Now, first super over with Carol Rahul and Nicholas Purim out there. Nicholas Purim has got 2 Golden Ducks in 2 super overs this year. Just pointing that out. Dick Cutter was not out. Bumrah again made a brilliant super over. And then Mohammad Shami made another one good in reply, and then they tied that, and then it went to another super over, and so on, so on, so on.
Yeah, I just think it's incredible that Bumrah managed to take 2 wickets in a super over. That's just not the Punjab, is it? That's just...
No. However, the first game Gale played in their final super over, he just goes and blasts it. So this is what Gale does. Gale's Gale.
Indeed. But looking further at the MI super over, Quinton de Kock and Rohit Sharma doing really well. Mohammad Shami doing okay bowling. I think it's a pretty, regular one. Definitely doing the better of the two, taking 2 wickets and conceding the same amount of runs.
It was a very boring super over. None of them were middling it. Shami was bowling excellent length. So,
super overs, everyone thinks, it's a super over, it's going to be really exciting. So,
there's going to be like 15 runs.
World Cup the other year.
I think the World Cup final kind of lifted everybody's expectations a bit much.
Yeah, now everyone's interested. As soon as it goes to super over, it's going to be really exciting. No, it just seems to be a normal over of cricket, to be fair, and very slow cricket at that.
Yeah, but then the next one wasn't bad, was it? The next super over.
I think that Punjab taking that is fair play to them.
Oh, does it not show that? Okay, let me just quickly run through the second super over then. So I think Mumbai scored 11 runs off that. I think they went Hardik and Pollard, to the best of my knowledge, and then I think Punjab came and chased it down with Gale and Agarwal. And just a point on 2 super overs, you can't use the same players. So I think that rounds up, but first you've got to go white balls. 3 super overs in a day is a bit too much.
That sounds fair enough. And that concludes everything we have to say, I think, for match 36.
White ball feature.
Then on to match 37.
And white ball feature.
Like I say, CSK versus Rajasthan, this was a very interesting game. Very well played by Rajasthan, but I guess you knew I'd say that.
Aaron, whiteboard.
Whiteboard, you want whiteboard?
Whiteboard for the 2 super overs.
Yes.
Before we move on to CSK Rajasthan, which Aaron is very eager to talk about that.
Of course I am. Of course, why wouldn't I be very eager to talk about it? And you may be wondering...
Now, we have to say, why are super overs getting dead?
Why super overs getting dead now? You may be wondering why to the whiteboard, but there are very good reasons. One, we have... I'm going to need to put text in here. We have KKR. Who did KKR play about?
SRH.
SRH. They had some super overs, again, weren't particularly exciting. Got some more text here. We've just looked at Mumbai Indians versus
Punjab.
Punjab, yep. And then we're going to put one down here.
World Cup final.
World Cup final.
Oh God, where were the other super overs? I'm gonna Google famous super overs.
Okay.
We need one more because we've done 4 corners.
I'm going to suggest getting another one from this year's IPL to prove that they're dead, to be fair.
Mumbai Indians versus Gujarat Lions.
Mumbai Indians.
No, actually, RCB. Put the RCB one.
Mumbai Indians versus RCB?
Yeah, in 2020.
These are all very recent, which proves that they are dying. Now, we all know that Super Over was golden, not just because we love England, but because it was
Jofra Archer was there.
exciting. Anyone that watched it, and I'm sure most of you did, it was terrific, wasn't it?
Yeah, it really was. And then I think the Mumbai RCB, and then I think the Mumbai Kings 11 match would come in at second, purely because they tied the Super Over and it went to another Super Over.
So which one should be second? Sorry.
One versus Punjab, so the top right.
Yep. And then the third.
RCB is third because they actually scored like 8 runs there.
Yep.
And then the deadest Super Over of it all is, just that one.
So the question then is, why are Super Overs becoming so?
Because Jofra Archer is not involved.
Yes, so we have Jofra Archer.
You need Ian Smith commentating. I think that's what his name was. Ian Smith, yeah.
You need Ian Smith.
And Nasser Hussain commentating. They did a very good job.
And now I think one of the biggest issues here is the players and the context in which they seem to be played. Now they seem to be played as very much a
normal over.
Yeah, just a normal over of cricket where they don't seem to be that interested in getting as many runs as last time. And I think that's why you seem to be seeing a lot more of the incidents that we had with Mumbai, where it's been 2 super overs in one game. Because they're going for it, which means that neither team is actually going to go and mince it and get another super over out of it. So
I think another reason would be no crowds, maybe.
Potentially. But I think whether there's a challenge or not, you still want to win the IPL. You still want to win matches. Now, of course, the crowd spurs you on, but the level between KPR versus SRH and the World Cup final is ridiculous. This one
better death bowling, maybe.
Yeah.
Like Rabada Bunashani.
As well. A lot of it, I mean, forgive me if you agree, but you disagree, but I think a lot of it is just becoming, test cricket for a super over.
Yeah, fair enough.
It's all too slow, too much about, holding out and not losing wickets. It's a super over, get runs. And I think, again, going back to the idea of having 2 super overs in a game, what people look at a really exciting game. That's because no one cared during the first one.
Yeah. That's all we've got to say, really, because there's much more on our agenda to come.
There really is indeed. As we move on to now before I get depressed as we continue with the video about our losses, I can at least focus on our glory moment. 7 CSK versus RR.
Yeah, that was a good game with a good result. I'm just going to. I think we don't really have to do anything. It was a pretty dead game, let's be honest.
It was a relatively slow game in comparison to some of the other stuff we've seen from the IPL this year. But
CSK got bundled out. Brilliant from Rajasthan.
4 goals. I think it was an amazing performance, and I think bowling was pretty solid for Rajasthan as well as batting.
Pretty solid bowling performance from Rajasthan. I think Jofra Archer, Kartik Tyagi, Gopal, Tawatia all got wickets. And then the batting was just a bit box standard. This is what you want to see from your mark overseas players, forming a brilliant partnership to win you the game. Butler 70, Smith 26. And yeah.
I think that's fair then, and we can move on to match number 38, Kings 11 Punjab versus Delhi Capitals.
Yeah, listen, it's good to see Punjab win, but again it was just another pretty box standard game. But Shikhar Dhawan with 100.
Indeed. Play Punjab's rise from the Ashes, if you like. They were pretty much down and out, weren't they, really? They were at the bottom of the table. Rahul was like the only decent player that...
Carrying them.
Sorry?
Carrying the batting, and Shami carries the bowling.
Exactly, 2 players pulling through. You know, but it's not going to work in the IPL when it comes so thick and fast. You know that's not going to be enough. And sooner or later, well, not sooner rather than later, should I say, they were at the bottom of the table, you know, on 2 points after however many games played, and it's all over for them. But in the last week or so, they seem to have been pulling themselves back up, and they're now in a relatively decent position.
Yeah.
Maybe have a shot at qualifying or at least finishing in 5th.
Yeah. I can tell you though, Punjab have really messed up today. 126 for 7 off 20 overs.
Indeed. We will come back to that, but for now, match 39. This was, I'm sorry, literally, we said that match 37 and 38 were dead games. This was horrific.
This was not a dead game for me, but it was probably dead for everybody else.
84 for 8. How could it possibly be that bad?
We've done the clap double over KKR.
Oh yeah.
Right, let's just have a look. Let's just bring up a whiteboard here, and we'll get to a whiteboard for CSK when we see their latest performance against Mumbai. But first, I think we need a whiteboard for this match.
A whiteboard for this match, of course. Which is my command, as we have a whiteboard. So, what are we trying to prove here, Abe? What would you like to prove?
I'm proving why RCB have been so dominant against KKR.
Prove why RCB have been so dominant against KKR.
Right, let's start off. The top 3 have got 2 runs for KKR.
So the top 3 was that, yeah?
Yeah, have got 2 runs in that match.
And they only got 2 runs.
Right, and RCB's opening bowlers. Siraj got 3 wickets and an economy rate of 2.
Bowler 3 wickets. Yeah?
Yeah.
And what economy rate?
2. Economy of 2. So that's a clear win to RCB.
That is indeed a clear win for RCB. But I don't think we just want to talk about before we go too far into stats. Literally, just face value, KKR, was it 85 for 8?
84 for 8.
84 for 8. Try and work out what their average when we divide those together, just to see
10.5.
how many runs are we looking at per week.
10.5.
Yeah, that's 10.5. So 10.5
per wicket.
per wicket. 45 per wicket in, well, let me start by saying, in any game of cricket under any circumstances, it's a little bit poor. It's a little bit poor.
It's not very good. And RCB, on the other hand, they scored 85 for 2, and their average wicket, if you want to do that, was 42.5. So a 42.5 in any game of cricket is good.
In any game of cricket, professional or non, is, again,
It's decent. It's decent. It's decent in a test match. It's not great in a test match, but
0.5 is just...
we have done 4 times. We've put on 4 times the runs for 1 loss of a wicket.
Indeed. I mean, that's what I'm getting at. It's the IPL when bowling is so crucial because of the quality of batsmen that you're bowling up against, and vice versa when batting because of the quality of the bowling and the speed of the bowling in particular. It's appalling.
Yeah. And then let's just have a look at the RCB batting. It was pretty solid. 25, 16 and 21 and 18.
25, 16 and 21.
Yeah. And KKR's top 4 batsmen were 1, 1, 0 and 10.
1, 1, 0 and 10.
Like, and then you can add on Dinesh Karthik's 4.
Oh, it's shocking, isn't it? It's just, I'm not even a KKR fan, but that makes me angry to think that any player in the IPL can do that. It's just, what is it?
But the thing is, there was no intent shown from Tom Banton or Dinesh Karthik to actually sit there and go, right, I'm going to bat for the whole thing. There's too much of this philosophy, let's go out there and hit it. Why can't you stick around with Morgan and really just play proper cricket and bat the whole 20 overs? And if them three batted the whole 20 overs, KKR would have got a respectable, not a respectable total, but they would have got something to bowl at.
Well, exactly. I mean, they would have had something worth holding on to, you know?
Yeah, they would have had some hope, but they had no hope.
Yeah. And then one final category that I'd like to bring to attention here is form. What was the form of the 3 previous games for both teams?
Don't know that exactly, but if we're gonna have a look at form, so wait, was that RCB's last game? So RCB were on a win-loss-win.
Win-loss-win. And KKR?
Loss-win-loss. No, not loss-win-loss, sorry. KKR were on a loss-loss-win.
I think that's all we need to say, isn't it? I mean,
yes.
There as to why RCB were the better side. And I think that is literally you have to cover for that game. So back to what matters, if you like, in continuing with our agenda. Match 40, I want to get through this one as quickly as possible.
Your wish is my command. But first of all, I'm just gonna run through the scorecard with you. Just quickly here, I think Utapar batted decently at the top of the order. Stokes there, just supporting Sampson just to go out there and express himself. Josh Butler not doing particularly well. Steve Smith, again 19, Rian Parag 20. Tawati and Archer were not out. And then the SI innings, they got off to a fine start. I think Jofra Archer dismissing both their gun overseas players in David Warner and Johnny Bairstow. It was just a brilliant start. Both the balls were phenomenal, and it just shows if you put it on that good length in the first over, second over, it still works. You can't go from changing the basics. And then, there was a partnership where Manish Pandey scored 83 runs of 47 balls, and Vijay Shankar scored the deadest 50 ever, 52 off 51 balls, with no sixes.
Indeed, I mean, the real reason I wanted to get past this one is because I am hugely disappointed with how we managed to lose that. Now, I know AB de Villiers is a class, and I know he's done really well, but that doesn't make it any easier to take. The fact that we managed to lose after...
AB de Villiers? Manish Pandey.
Whatever.
Fair enough. Anyway, now, next match we're going to go for a whiteboard feature. Mumbai Indians versus the Chennai Super Kings, who got bundled out again, and as promised earlier on in the video, we're going to go straight to whiteboard. CSK batting.
So wasn't there a point at which CSK were 25 for 5, or was it 25 for 6?
Well, they were, let's have a look at the form of the wickets. They were 21 for 5 and 30 for 6.
Like 21 21 for 5, 21 for 5, and then 30 for 6.
And all of this time, I've been hammering. Can I just say, whilst Aaron does his maths calculations, all of this time I've been hammering CSK for not playing their youngsters. But I get why they're playing their old people now. Their youngsters have nothing in them.
They really don't, do they? They just do not have anything that a decent that a player would expect to, to play consistently in the IPL would need. All of the other teams in the IPL, their youngsters have at least got something to give, haven't they? Whereas they've done that to get to this.
I mean, I get you should give them a go, but Gateway has got who got 2 ducks in 3 IPL matches this year, and Jagdishan got a first caller. So I don't know. There's not much to say other than they've got to go and buy a good team in the auction next.
They really do, and I think they need to be careful with who they buy. Don't go for old school movement. They will be too old and it just won't help them. Don't go for this sort of really young up-and-coming player who hasn't actually proven anything, because you are running the risk of this happening again. And I think that it's at that point that you need to. I haven't done that before. Just think, you know what? Get a decent, someone that's on the side of younger as opposed to older player.
So say next year they can still play Dhoni, because it would be a bit unfair. They still play Jadeja, they still play Sam Curran, they still play Chahat, and they still play Thakur. They've got to build a side around the lower half, and they've got to completely reassemble their top order with Duplessis being the only starting face in there.
Indeed. I think you said that perfectly. It's just not good enough for a team in the IPL, particularly like CSK, who don't exactly have a bad history, and some of their seasoned players definitely don't, including enough scoring.
This is the first time CSK wouldn't have qualified for the playoffs.
I know it's come down to the fact of age. There's so much of an age gap, You think like a number line. We've got their normal team, which is about here. Sorry, I've done that completely illogically. Youngest to oldest, their team is about here, would you say?
Yeah, and the average is probably somewhere about in the middle. Maybe a bit more younger. Yeah, they're about there.
Yeah. Okay. That?
Yeah, that's like around 28, 29.
Yeah, that's their average. And then the players that they played for this game are surely somewhere like here.
No. They're players that they picked for this game on average, because they picked 40-year-old Imran Tahir, 36-year-old Duplessis, 32-year-old Raidu, 39-year-old Dhoni, 32-year-old Jadeja. They're pretty old.
They are pretty old, so we'll go somewhere like here then.
Which is an improvement.
It is indeed an improvement. Well, not really.
The result was still the same, so nothing made a difference.
In my eyes, I think that they're young players who are ultimately to blame for that, crashing are definitely kind of around here.
Yeah.
Kind of this sort of region. What they really need to be looking at doing is buying players that aren't up here, that aren't in the old bracket. I'm not taking away his talent, but I think he's obviously getting on a bit, and not getting young players down here that could lose it all for you. What you really want to be doing is going somewhere between your general average and your match average, and go somewhere like that. So we're talking maybe 32.
32 tops.
Yeah, 32 tops, but that's as high as you really want to be going, and as young as you really want to be going is about 25.
Yeah, you can go really young. Like some people like Paddy Cow, and some people have proved themselves. It doesn't matter about how young you are. It's about can you play and have you prove yourself.
Yeah, and a lot of their young players haven't proven themselves. and they've just risked it, and obviously they've paid the ultimate consequence, which is that.
Yeah, fair enough. And then I think moving on to our last game of today.
Indeed, match 42, KKR versus Delhi Capitals. This was a big game for KKR. 104-6.
Right. Before we go into the nitty gritty, well battered, Sunil Narayan and Nitish Rana and well bowled Anrik Nortje from that side of the innings. From the other side of the innings, well batted nobody and well bowled Pat Cummins and Varun Chakravarti, 5-wicket haul, 5 for 20 off 4.
Indeed, Varun Chakravarti, based on the show today, has done particularly well. He's one of the standout players. We seem to have been mentioning him for praise, endlessly.
Yeah.
What would you say? Where would you say he is in the IPL grand scheme of bowlers? Where is he up towards the top end? Does he have a chance of going even higher?
It's tough. I do know this year that usually you get people that burst onto the scene in their first year, like Chakravarti's done. So you've got to monitor their second year, because the second year is usually where they get found out. But I think Chakravarti has more to this, so I think he could go and become the number one frontline spinner for the KKR, just like RCB have depended upon Yuzvendra Chahal for however many years they have.
Indeed. So saying he's the future version is quite high praise. Delhi Capitals then, it was just...
They just never seem to get on. They seem to lose. They seem to lose wickets in clusters, get a 40 partnership, lose wickets in clusters, and it just never gained momentum. It just kept stalling.
Exactly. I think you said that really well. And one of the biggest issues here, I think, is that in a T20, what you really don't want doing is, like I say, losing those wickets in clusters. And in that quantity, getting, up to 9 wickets gone is not somewhere you really want to be aiming for in a T20.
Yeah, fair enough. And I think, when I say losing them in clusters,
yeah.
No, because then when you lose them in clusters, you just get 2 new batsmen. They got to go through the whole rebuilding phase again. That just wastes a whole load of dots. And then if they get out again, the cycle goes endlessly.
Indeed. Would you say that anyone from Delhi did very well at all, or is it all about KKR in this game?
Aya, Nortje and Rabada did well. But then, you can't expect Dhawan to play every game. He had a bit of an off day, so, not really going to get my teeth into Delhi because they've been a brilliant side this season, and they will continue to do so, but they will lose the final to RCB, so that's all well and good.
I think that's more than fair, and I think that does indeed wrap up everything we've got to say for today's show.
Yeah, I think so as well.
Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next time when we're heading ever closer towards the enthralling stage of the IPL, that is the playoffs. But for now, goodbye.
Goodbye.